Hello guys, I am back. It is UmiWave. I have not made a video in a month, I know, but I am back with another video talking about Sonic Frontiers 2. Now, I understand I'm not talking about no leaks, because I don't want people telling me that, oh, I was wrong about this, I was wrong about that, I was incorrect about this, I was incorrect. No, I don't want none of that business. I'm just going to talk about what I am expecting and the realities. So let's get into it, right? Alright, first thing that I am expecting is a completely new Sonic model. The problem with the Frontiers model was that the Frontiers model, it just has awkward proportions. Sonic has a small torso, little ass arms, big ass like hands and shoes, and it makes him awkward to pose. Like, look at when he first turns into Super Sonic versus Giganto. The man can't even cross his arms properly. He's basically holding his elbows, looking at Giganto with a smirk. Come on now, that's not. Come on now. If Sega wants to give AAA gaming, you gotta at least get the animations down. So I believe that a completely new model, especially when I think Sega themselves actually released a test animation of the new stuff that they are experimenting. So I think like a new model is now, you know what I mean, now should be done now instead of being in consideration, because the model that we have now, it has so much awkward proportions that it makes it hard to pose and to make it look cool. It's like, I'm not saying that the model is ugly. The model is not ugly. It's pretty decent for a Sonic model. It's just that when it's animated, that's when all the flaws come in. Because I can tell that animating that model is a nightmare. With all them weird ass proportions, yeah, we need a new Sonic model, most definitely. Number 2, better open zone. The open zone in Sonic Frontiers was pretty, like, it felt like it was just a bunch of haphazard, not carefully thought out platforms. It felt very last minute, and you can tell that it was very last minute because in Shadow Generations, the open zone meshes and mixes much better than it did in Sonic Frontiers. Less popping, there's ramps, there's the ground rails actually make sense. The ground rails actually are not floating in the air like magically, and you have to do things to unlock those ground rails instead of it just popping in. And it's like, you know what I mean? And also, one thing about the open zone was the puzzles were pretty underwhelming. I'ma say that the puzzles weren't the best. They weren't bad, but they weren't the best. It's like, it didn't feel very Sonic-y, you know what I mean? There's no like time attacks, like nothing like that, bro. It just felt like playing like mini mobile games just to pass the time. And the thing about those challenges is that you can't even do them again. After you complete them, you can't go back and do those challenges again. So those challenges were just one-time things, and that kind of kills the replayability of the open world. Some of those challenges you might want to play again, but you can't because you just can't go back to play those challenges. You gotta make a new save file, completely new, and do those challenges. That's just, I think it's just anti-Sonic. Sonic relies on replayability. Sonic relies on replayability, get good, do trial and error. And I feel like that's just not it. You feel me? And, you know, another thing about the open world is the popping. The popping was really bad. The popping was just, there were some times where it's like you need to collect something and you couldn't see the platform until Sonic was just like 5 inches away from it. And it just, it really breaks the immersion of the game. It's not like it's a big thing. It wasn't a big thing for me. I still enjoyed Sonic Frontiers. I give it a hard-hitting 7 out of 10. You know what I mean? It just breaks the immersion of the open world. And also, another thing, the lack of loop-de-loops and slopes and Sonic-like elements being integrated into the actual map. That was missing from this game. There was a lot of times where it's like I wanted to roll down the hill and Sonic would just not do it. Like it would just kill his momentum. If I try to spin dash through it, he just stops on a dime. Or if I try to drop dash, he just rolls down and then after that like stops halfway. It's like, you know what I mean? I want, with Sonic in the open world, I want to run around. I want to feel like I'm in the Sonic CD opening, just running around, doing loop-de-loops, rolling downhill. But I remember there was a one fan game that did that. It was called Green Hill Zone Act 2, I believe. That was a very fun game because you can just spin dash around, boost around, roll downhill, go anywhere, everywhere. It was a very fun game. And also Sonic Utopia is another fun fan game that had those same elements. And I believe Sonic Frontiers 2, hopefully Sonic Frontiers 2 introduces those elements into its open world map. A third thing is, and I think this is the weakest point of Sonic Frontiers, was cyberspace. Cyberspace has to be on point this time. I don't want to see no new theme, no new themes. Hold on, no old themes, no more Green Hill Zone, no more Chemical Plant, no more Sky Sanctuary. Completely new themes for these cyberspaces or whatever they call them in the next game. I need them bitches to be on point, especially after Sonic XL Generations. Sonic XL Generations upped it on y'all niggas. That team, whoever worked on that shit, they upped it on y'all niggas. Y'all gotta pop out. Y'all can't just show some BS. Come on now. Cyberspace, while it wasn't bad, the physics were kinda... It was kinda eh. It didn't feel like the open zone. It felt very restrictive on what you can do. I believe like the only thing was just the homing boost from what I've seen. Maybe like, you know, other people who have played for Sonic Frontiers or speedrun it, I may be wrong, but the only thing that I've seen was the homing boost, and like that's about it. That's about all I've seen from Sonic Frontiers in terms of like tech or anything. And I believe that like also for cyberspace, the levels were just there were too many levels, way too many levels for each zone. I believe that Sonic should not have any more than probably 20, maybe 20 or 10 levels per island or per game. I feel like it's just quality over quantity. While Shadow Generations probably had like, I think 6 or okay, hold on, 7. I'm gonna guess a number. 7 levels. It had, those levels were very, very good. I would say they were on par with Sonic Generations. Hell, even better. And like, you know what I mean, I find myself coming back to play Shadow Generations than Sonic Generations whenever I play Sonic X Shadow Generations. And I believe that Sonic Frontiers cyberspace levels just don't reach that level of quality that Shadow Generations did, because it had so many levels and other reasons as well, but there were just so many levels to work on, and each of them felt lackluster. While when I was playing Sonic X Shadow Generations, the Shadow Generations portion, each level felt like it was an experience. Each level had its own cinematics, good animations, interesting gimmicks. Hell, even Sunset Heights, probably a Sonic Forces level got redone, and it's 10 times better than it was in the original game. In my opinion, that level is actually pretty good, and I believe that Sonic X Shadow Generations, they upped it on y'all. Y'all gotta show out for the next game. Hopefully, they get the team from Sonic X Shadow Generations to work on the cyberspace levels in Sonic Frontiers 2. And the other thing that I really expect is the move set of Sonic, I believe that Sonic X Generations did a great job on experimenting what you can do with Sonic gameplay, especially with like the Doom Blast, where like you can just hit an enemy and then after that just blow them away and teleport to them in order to find shortcuts within the level, especially on Kingdom Valley. Really good design. I loved it. Another thing was the Doom Wing being able to traverse, like having another way other than boosting or homing attacking to traverse through the level is also good. Chaos Spears to do spear gliding and to open sections of the level that you couldn't possibly open before. Yes, I do like that. And I would say Doom Surf is pretty situational, so I'm not going to say much about it, but Doom Morph was pretty good. Those like, bro, I actually liked using Doom Morph. It took a bit of time to get used to, but as soon as I got it down, really good mechanic. I hope that Sonic in the next game has a moveset for platforming. Sonic Frontiers had a heavily, like, his moveset was heavily combat based, but it's more so like each move it was kind of the same result, but does a little bit more damage. Each move hits the enemy. You feel me? It doesn't really do anything to switch up the gameplay for Sonic. It just, each move just hits the enemy, hit the enemy, hit the enemy. For Sonic Shadow Generations, each move is a different way for traversing the level, and it makes the levels pretty interesting. So I hope that in the next Sonic game, they actually focus on making a moveset that really supports Sonic as a platforming character rather than just combat. And leading into my next point, combat is also another thing that they really need to improve on. I think combat was probably one of Sonic Frontiers' weak points. Chaser Tech has a pretty great video on explaining why Sonic Frontiers combat is pretty lackluster. I feel like the combat doesn't really feel satisfying. It doesn't really leave any room for creativity and player freedom. You're pretty much just hitting the enemy and hitting the hitbox until they inevitably die. Especially when you get Sonic to level 99, it's like you're a god. You can't be touched. You literally defeat every enemy in one hit. And it's like the game just becomes pretty boring, so you pretty much have to keep Sonic on either level 1 or level 10. I kept it on level 10 because I didn't want to level him up to max level so that he can just like steamroll through all the enemies. Hell no. Except the Final Horizon. The Final Horizon, the enemies in there, like, you have to be max level. But you go into Final Horizon with a level 1 moveset, them boys will literally fuck your ass up. Hell nah. And also, the boss fights. Boss fights were hype. Boss fights were probably the biggest highlight of Sonic Frontiers. However, I believe that their interactions are pretty, upon replay, the pre-actions are pretty mediocre. It's pretty much you're just hitting the enemy until they inevitably die again, but with a bigger hitbox. And there are times where it's like, Sonic is doing this shit. Like, he made clones to literally dive kick into Giganto, or when this nigga literally threw Wyvern into the mountain. Like, I want to see more of that shit. I want to see more unique interactions with Sonic other than just him just punching the enemy. And I understand maybe that's too hard to ask, like maybe that's too much to ask, but I would really like to see, something akin to Insomniac, Spider-Man's Sandman boss fight, where it's like you're pretty much going through all these goons, so you have to traverse through the level in order to fight Sandman, and then I can't remember how it was because it was so long ago. But it's like, yeah, I want something exactly like that. Like, when you see these boss fights, you gotta really think, like, how would Insomniac do this? How would goddamn Platinum Games do this? Because I know Platinum Games, when it comes to boss fights, their boys know how to do a boss dirty. They know how to do a boss justice, bro. You gotta think about how what's it called? The Devil May Cry team might tackle this boss fight, because those boss fights were even as like as let's say it wasn't mediocre. I'm gonna say as good. I would say good. As good as the boss fights were, I feel like they could be done much better and have much better cinematics. One thing about the boss fights was that camera. That camera was that camera was fighting for life. You had to literally fight with the camera, especially during the Giganto boss fight. You get hit once, your ass was getting comboed again if you did not turn that camera, bro. I must say, man, that camera, and not only just the Giganto, in the Final Horizon, that final boss, the camera was awful. It was awful, especially when, like, if you got hit into the trees and it was shooting those purple orbs at you. Yeah, you were not parrying. You were not parrying that shit, because you can barely see Sonic. The trees are blocking your way, and then after you see these purple orbs just coming at you, so it makes it harder to even perfect parry. So yeah, I hope that the next game really improves on the boss battles, especially the camera and the cinematics as well, because I believe that Sonic Team, they got the vision, they got the ambition, they got the vision, but they just need the let's just say they just need the skill to do it. Because I've heard that after Frontiers, they expanded Kishimoto's team by double the size. And I'm thinking, like, a lot of people think like, oh my god, they doubled the size of Sonic Team and they're hiring all these people. I'ma say this, that all doesn't matter unless it is executed properly. You can have 1,000 people working on the game, but if the game can't deliver in quality, then that all doesn't matter. So I am hoping that this game really delivers, and I know it's going to deliver. With Sonic X Shadow Generations and Sonic Crossworlds, I have pretty much faith that they can really deliver on this next Sonic game. And excuse me, I pretty much have faith that they can deliver on this next Sonic game and really improve from Sonic Frontiers. And I believe this is going to be one of Sonic's most important games, to where it's like, it's not just a step in the right direction. Sonic is here, like, he's here to stay, and he's back. And I'm hoping that this game gets, fingers crossed, this game gets a 9 or a 10 out of 10, so Sonic can go 3 for 3. Let's just say this, we need a 3 for 3 right now, bro, because Sonic has had a bad luck when it comes to, like, to 3 for 3s in any generation, except the classics. But in any generation, Sonic has had, like, bad luck going for 3 for 3s when it comes to review scores. Sonic Adventure 1 did good. Sonic Adventure 2 did good. Sonic Heroes, flop. It's not a flop, but it had mediocre scores. Sonic Unleashed, I'm not gonna lie, I think 2008, it was just like, Sonic Unleashed it caught the stray of the century, bro, because it was just coming off of Sonic 06 and Sonic and the Secret Rings, so like, everyone was just bashing Unleashed, but it was a pretty good game. I would say it's an 8 out of 10 in my opinion, but it was a pretty good game, and it just got the flack of strays of fucking life. Colors did good review wise, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna lie to you, Colors does not deserve some of the review scores it got. Generations definitely deserves the review scores that it got, maybe a little bit higher. And then after that, it's like, we got like Sonic Lost World, that did mediocre. Sonic Boom, oh my god, I think Sonic Boom was pretty much Sonic's, like, that might have been his lowest point. That might have really been his lowest point, because them games were not selling. At least in the 2000s, even Sonic's worst games sold about 1 million copies. But the games in the 2010s, them bitches were not selling, bro. They're mediocre and weren't selling. That might have been Sonic's lowest point. I'm not gonna lie to you. But recently we got Sonic Frontiers, which did pretty good review wise. It got a bunch of mixed reactions, but I believe that like most people can generally say that it's pretty much a good game. Sonic Superstars it got average reviews, but it was pretty much a good game. Sonic Shadow Generations got pretty good reviews. It was actually praised a lot, so it got pretty good review scores. And Sonic Racing Crossworlds, you already know the story. It got praised, glazed, goddamn sucked out, like, you know what I mean? It got all the glaze, all the glory and shit. So yeah. And this will be the end of this video. Hope you guys liked the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.